It's a somber anniversary. 14 years ago today, nearly 3,000 people were killed in the terror attacks at the World Trade Center near Shanksville, Pennsylvania, and at the Pentagon. In 2015, local businesses in Hammond and Highland are signing up to show their support for those first responders and civilians who died on 9/11. Just 4 years ago, the Neighborhoods, Inc. organization in Hammond, Indiana began the tradition of saluting the victims of 9/11 by asking businesses to display signs of support and remembrance. Only 10 businesses participated that first year, but now 130 businesses are taking part in the tribute. Most of those businesses are in Hammond and Highland on Kennedy Avenue, Indianapolis Boulevard, and Highway Avenue. Organizers say they knew people who died on 9/11, and they want to make sure that those sacrifices are not forgotten.
Sobering when you drive down the street here and you see all these posters and you see the marquees, but it's also very heartening because we can unite in solidarity for our brothers and sisters in New York who, of course, are still mourning that they lost all those people. So our job at Neighborhoods, Inc. is to unite.
Neighborhoods, Inc. is a nonprofit community development corporation established in 1998 to create and expand healthy neighborhoods throughout the Calumet area. Governor Mike Pence was at the Indianapolis Airport Authority today to commemorate the anniversary of 9/11 and to remember the thousands who lost their lives and the heroic acts of all responders. The remembrance ceremony featured an honor guard and a musical performance by the Ben Davis High School Choir. The governor directed flags at all state facilities be flown at half-staff in honor of what is now known as Patriot Day. He also asked that businesses and residents across the state lower their flags to half-staff as a sign of respect and remembrance. Governor Mike Pence doesn't have much respect for the Iran nuclear agreement negotiated by the Obama administration. He says it's a bad deal and should be rejected. Pence and 14 other governors sent a letter to President Barack Obama vehemently opposing any agreement with Iran and promising to ensure that various state-level sanctions that are now in effect remain in effect. Pence says the agreement will not make the United States or her allies, most notably Israel, any safer. Republican Senator Dan Coats took to the Senate floor on Thursday to voice his opposition, saying that Congress can and should reject the deal. He went on to say that peace at any price is not peace and could lead to tragic consequences. Senate Democrats appear to have the votes to overcome any Republican opposition to the plan. Lake Station Mayor Keith Soderquist says that, looking back now, he had a problem and gambled too much. Mayor Soderquist and his wife Deborah are on trial at the U.S. District Court in Hammond, facing charges of conspiracy to commit wire fraud, and a filing of false income tax form. Ed Biershank, with our partner in the Northwest Indiana Times, was in the courtroom this week as Mayor Soderquist took the stand in his own defense. Biershank reports the mayor didn't deny taking money from both his campaign fund and the Lake Station Food Bank to use at the Four Winds Casino in New Buffalo, Michigan, but testified he was simply taking money that was owed him. The prosecution rested its case on Wednesday. The President of the United States is calling on the president of a Northwest Indiana educational institution to accept an influential position on a newly created board. President Barack Obama announced this week that Ivy Tech Community College President Thomas Snyder has been selected to serve on the College Promise Advisory Board, which will bring together leaders from across the nation to share the best ideas to make community college free. President Obama announced the creation of the board as part of his campaign to deliver 2 years of free community college to hardworking students. President Snyder reacted to the appointment by saying, "I am honored to be named to the board and look forward to continuing to explore options to make higher education as affordable as possible. Today in Indiana, we have nearly 50,000 students enrolled at Ivy Tech Community College who have their tuition and fees covered by Pell Grants. We will continue to look at ways to allow more Hoosiers to gain access to higher education." This is not the first time the Ivy Tech president has been tapped by the Obama administration. In 2011, President Snyder was selected by President Obama as the only community college president to serve on the White House Roundtable on affordability and productivity in higher education. Valley Fire Protection Systems in Maryville held its 3rd annual open house today, and it's using the event to give back to the men and women who have sacrificed so much for our freedom. The company, which provides fire protection systems for industrial, commercial, and residential facilities in Northwest Indiana and the Chicago metropolitan area, is not only demonstrating fire safety, it's also accepting donations for care packages it will send to troops stationed overseas.
We'll actually have a live sprinkler burn trailer, so you'll be able to see a sprinkler system activate. We'll also be having a live fire alarm demonstration. The other thing we'll be doing is a fire extinguisher training seminar. And these are actually for the support the troops. There's actually a list. It's basically toothbrushes, deodorants, anything they could possibly use. Then we're going to get that wrapped up, and we also have a banner that everybody's going to be signing that we'll be sending over to the troops.
Valley Fire Protection Systems is still accepting donations for its troop care packages. For more information, you can call 219-472-0083. The expansion of One Griffith business has neighbors worried, and Michael Puente talks to a Garrett family worried not enough has been done to locate missing family members. Those stories and more coming up right after this.
Lakeshore Report wants to hear from you. Send your thoughts, concerns, questions, and story ideas to tvfeedback@lakeshorepublicmedia.org. You can also reach us on Facebook and Twitter at Lakeshore Report. Make sure to tweet us using the hashtag NWIPride, and you may see your comments on air. Lakeshore Report, providing you region-focused content.
Some residents in unincorporated Lake County near Griffith are concerned about the environmental impact of a neighboring company. They're mobilizing to stop the company's efforts to expand and to keep their close-knit community unharmed. Stephen Lattimore has the story.
At issue here is whether this company will be allowed to expand with a possible environmental impact on its neighbors. The folks here say, do what you want, just not in my backyard. This is why people who live in this part of unincorporated Lake County, Indiana, and Calumet Township live here, the tranquility. On the other side of that hill is the asphalt company Walsh and Kelly. Some neighbors say their operations are ruining their quality of life.
Not in my backyard, not in my front yard, not anywhere around my house.
The company wants to expand their operations by adding a sand mine to harvest sand. County officials say the company will then fill in the hole with what's called clean fill, asphalt shavings, concrete, and dirt. In May, the company ripped up 14 acres of trees on their property. This was part of a federally protected wetland.
When you destroy the wetlands, you destroy the natural filtering system for the people that live back there, and they're drinking water and showering and exist just their water. Everybody has to have water.
According to Jeff Swan with Walsh and Kelly, the Army Corps of Engineers did issue them a written violation about clearing the trees without proper authorization. The Corps confirmed that they are working with the company to resolve this issue.
You know, when my water pressure drops, I can't use two things at one time in my house. It's impacted my living because I can't take a shower upstairs if I've got my washer going. I can't flush the toilet and take a shower.
Walsh and Kelly officials say that they have been at their current location since 1961, that they have 400 employees, and that they need to expand their growing operations. They add that they are operating within the law.
It's going to impact our property values. Our property values are going to go down. Nobody wants to live across the street from something like that. It's going to impact our wells, our property values. There's going to be noise. The dump trucks are going to be clanging and banging. There's going to be dust. There's going to be debris. And it's going to impact our way of living, our happiness, our little corner of the world.
The issue goes before the Lake County boards that oversee this project on Wednesday of next week. Residents say they'll be there to fight it. In unincorporated Lake County, Stephen Lattimore, Lakeshore Report.
It's time for The Times, our exclusive sneak preview of some of the top stories in this Sunday's Northwest Indiana Times. Occasionally, we'll talk to the reporters behind some of those stories in the state's second largest paper. This week, Times staff writer Mark Chase looks at the lengths one local politician is willing to go to silence his critics and explores the broader question, how much is too much when it comes to criticizing public officials?
Well, it's sort of the latest chapter we've had over the last couple of weeks of 3rd District Councilman Anthony Higgs and some of his efforts to try to silence or thwart critics of his out in the political sphere. Earlier this year, he filed a defamation lawsuit against a constituent Matthew Markham. Markham made a political cartoon, so to speak, a video type thing, a very cartoonish video on Facebook that sort of lampooned Higgs. And Higgs didn't like it, and so now he's suing him in civil court for defamation, even though there are pretty strong U.S. Supreme Court precedents on the protection of free speech and commentary on public officials. Political cartoons, caricatures, they're all protected speech when it comes to public officials. Anthony Higgs, as an elected councilman, is certainly a public official, and so I think he's going to have a hard time proving this case. The new chapter came within the last couple of weeks when he filed a protective order against another critic of his, Ann Herbert, who was his opponent in the most recent political primary. He is claiming that she is stalking him, and he's citing incidents that date back to 2012. The evidence seems really thin, at least what we've been able to see so far. And this week, there was a hearing. The judge threw it out because one of Higgs' supposed witnesses to some of this alleged stalking behavior didn't show up to court. The case has been continued until later this month, and in the meantime, the protective order has been thrown out. However these cases are decided locally, I think could help set the landscape for how people feel comfort in stepping forth and saying critical things about their public officials. I mean, I think that's what it comes down to. Do we live in a society where people can step forth and say what they want about a public official without fear of repercussion, or are the courts going to get involved with that?
For more information about this story, check out the Sunday's Times or log on to www.nwitimes.com. In late July, a 21-year-old disabled woman from Gary went missing along with her toddler nephew. The family has been searching for Diamond Bynum and little King Walker ever since. Eugene Bynum Jr. is the father of Diamond Bynum and grandfather to King Walker. He sat down with Lakeshore Report's Michael Puente to ask for help from the public.
Well, thank you, Kristen. Well, this has certainly been a case that's been in the news lately, but the family of Diamond Bynum and King Walker are hoping a little more exposure will bring these two home. Mr. Bynum, I'd like to thank you for being here on Lakeshore Report.
Thank you for having me.
And also, Alyssa Williams is a volunteer with the family. We want to thank you for being here as well. Well, Mr. Bynum, this has certainly got to be a really troubling time for you. What is the latest in the search? What can you tell us?
As of right now, we don't have any solid leads as far as the case. What we're doing is we're organizing, searching. We're doing our best to keep the stay in the public eye so we can continue to receive assistance from the public so we can continue our search.
Now, Diamond and King, were they together a lot? Were they together a lot as a
Okay.
relative?
Of course, Diamond lives with my wife and I.
Mm-hmm.
King would come over on Fridays,
Okay.
Basically every Friday, and we would keep him for my other daughter, Ariana Walker, because she goes to school.
Okay. And when did you first notice that these two were missing?
Actually, my wife noticed July 25th. They had taken a nap, and they woke up before she actually did.
Okay.
And so I received a call from her from 11 o'clock a.m. I was at work, and so I rushed home. So
Now, there was a little delay in getting the police involvement. I know you said something you wanted, like an Amber Alert. What happened with that delay?
Okay, the delay was people didn't understand that it was a silver alert and an amber alert. The amber alert was denied because King wasn't kidnapped. They had no car description, that sort of thing. So that's why that was actually denied. And then we had to prove that Diamond, even though she's 21 in age, was not actually 21 cognitively.
Okay, all right. Now, there have certainly been a lot of different leads going on. I think there was something in the newspapers about a lead in Illinois and some other parts of Indiana. How many, have you been searching some of the leads? What have the police been telling you, the police?
Okay, the police follow up on all tips, So as of right now, they review a lot of tapes just to see if they if Diamond and King are actually in the video, in videos, that sort of thing. So as of right now, we don't have anything definite.
Okay. Now, Alyssa Williams, you're a volunteer with the family. You're helping to volunteer in the search.
Yes.
How many people are actually helping out, and what else? Where are you searching at?
Physically, every day there's anywhere between 4 to 10 of us. Saturdays we get a few more, maybe 20. We search anywhere. Right now we're actually searching with a 6-mile radius from the house in all directions. So we go off of that. We go in abandoned buildings, we go in abandoned houses, knocking on doors, passing out flyers, making people aware, because there's still people out there that don't know that they're missing.
Now, you're talking about the abandoned houses in Gary that you're going into.
Yes.
One, it's unsafe to do that, but is that causing a concern? Because there are so many abandoned properties in Gary.
It's not really a concern I think we're worried about. I think it's that there's so many that we don't have enough resources to enter all the houses in Gary. There's so many that just our group just can't do it all by ourselves.
And you're looking for more
volunteers, more
to help out.
resources, any kind of help that we can get to help bring Diamond and King home.
Now, quickly tell me about this fundraiser you're going to have.
We are having a benefit for the family on September 26, 2015, at the American Legion Post 66 in Griffith. The address for that is 132 North Wigg Street in Griffith, Indiana, 46319. The benefit is from 4 to 10 p.m. and we are still looking for any kind of donations, whether it be food or things to raffle off to help make up resources for the family so we can continue the search for them.
Mr. Bynum, what gives you hope that Diamond and King are still out there and that you can still somehow find them?
What gives me hope is that they haven't been found deceased. You know, if they were, even in abandoned buildings or something like that, someone would report a smell or something like that. They haven't been seen, so we think someone has them. So that's why we are continuing our search, and we will not stop until we find them.
Well, that's all the time we have for this week. I'd like to thank my guests, Eugene Bynum Jr. and Alyssa Williams, for being here on Lakeshore Report this week. We'll see you next week. I'm Michael Puente.
Regularly, we want to bring you stories about people doing positive things around the region. We've asked for your input online using the hashtag NWIPride, so we can help highlight the people who make us glad to call the region home. As students say their final goodbyes to summer freedom, some young region people are saying their goodbyes to a summer of hard work, toiling under the bright lights of the stage alongside a Broadway star who got his start right here in Northwest Indiana.
The way that I feel. When I figured it out, knew I wanted to be an artist, I felt grounded in my purpose and in my life.
He's a one-man show, currently starring and producing The Eve of Jackie, a show honoring singer Jackie Wilson. He also has a resume that includes Broadway.
I know you don't trust.
And headlining performances in Hairspray, Sister Act, and Goodman Theater's Two Trains Running, playing the role originated by Lawrence Fishburne.
The day I first saw you.
In between powerful performances, he's writing his own music and showing youth how to write their own future.
Let my folks back at home know that it's possible. Anything that you want to do is possible. And I want to be instrumental in any way possible to everybody who wants to pursue their dream and they need, they may need a little guidance.
Don't hold back. Artist and singer Chester Gregory's future is bright, but often you'll find Gregory reflecting on his past in Gary.
I'm excited to be here. I'm elated. I'm glad to be back home in Gary, Indiana, where it all started for me.
He was influenced at a young age by Michael Jackson and even tries to sneak in references to the King of Pop, like donning white socks when he played opposite Raven-Symoné in Sister Act. He says he always wanted to fill theater seats. Growing up attending local schools like Emerson School for the Visual and Performing Arts helped plant his feet on a path toward Broadway. Gregory was back in town recently singing high praise for the thing that made a difference in his life, mentoring.
It's actually critical for me to come back and do this full circle moment because I think if you look at successful people in life, they have a mentor, somebody that helps guide them and steer them, and they also have a mentee. So where you want to be, somebody is in that realm that you can talk to. And where you are now, there's somebody who wants to be there. So reach out to that person, have somebody that holds you accountable.
We have a lot of students. This is some of them the first time on stage.
Some 400 teens took part in the Gary Community School Corporation's first middle college in July, a partnership with Ivy Tech aimed at providing summer enrichment. That included a visit from Gary native Gregory and a performance of The Wiz at Westside Leadership Academy.
It's interesting because some of them are aware of my work and some of them aren't, and that's fine. I'm here to support them. So once I make it clear that it's not about me and my achievements, it's about me supporting them with theirs, then we're all on one accord.
Gary Superintendent Cheryl Pruitt says participating in the play will help students connect the dots in the classroom.
And education is important, but we have to educate the total child. So sometimes there comes a period in people's lives that they have to find that connection. And so a lot of people find connection through art. And I believe that's really how you touch children and change lives.
No matter what it is, whether you want to be an artist or an academic or educator or whatever it is, we're all creators.
In Gary, Hillary Powell, Lakeshore Report.
But don't hold back.
For more information on this or any of our stories, you can go to lakeshorepublicmedia.org. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope to see you next time on Lakeshore Report.
Hi, joining me for this edition of Eye on the Arts is Bridget Earnshaw, Marketing Director for Theater at the Center for Visual and Performing Arts in Munster, which is such a lot to say always. It's a really lot.
It's a long title.
Anyway, Bridget, nice to have you here for the first time.
Thank you for having me.
Usually we see Richard Friedman in that seat talking about the productions.
Switched it up.
That's nice. So you do have a really cool production coming up of Spamalot.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Spamalot is coming up September 17th and going till October 18th. It's based on the 1975 film Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Mm-hmm.
And then Eric Idle, who starred in the film, came and produced a musical, and it's 2005, so it's got more of the humor, more modern humor in it, but it's very similar to the 1975 film. And it's very funny, and it's kind of making fun of a musical inside of a musical. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I know it was a huge success on Broadway.
Yeah, we had 3 Tony Award-winning musical.
I don't think I ever saw it either in New York or in Chicago. I know it's played in Chicago. Of
Yes,
course.
it's played in Chicago and all over the place.
Yeah, so I'm glad it's going to be
Yeah.
across the lobby from me, and I'll be able to go see it now, finally. I remember when it opened in New York, though, people just were crazy about it.
Yes, it's a spectacular production. There's a lot of like little gimmicks in it, and secret little things. It's been kind of funny wandering around the theater to see different the costuming, trying to do the headless knight and how that's going to work out. But it's quirky and it's fun, and big musical production, lots of dancing.
Yeah.
You get to follow King Arthur around with his knights looking for the Holy Grail. So.
Is it a large cast?
It's about 19.
Oh, that's pretty big.
So it's pretty big. A lot of ensemble members. And then you have your starring leads.
Right.
You have about 4 of those.
Yeah.
And a new character that they introduced into the show is Lady of the Lake, who kind of is the diva of the show, which is not in the movie. She's mentioned in the movie, but she comes back into the musical, and that kind of brings a lot of fun to it as well.
Yeah. Well, Theater at the Center has done so well with Joseph Jefferson Award nominations and really great reviews from throughout the Chicago theater community.
Yes, we recently were nominated for 7 awards, so we're looking forward to that. Yeah.
And so then the next show after Spamalot is the final one of this season.
Yes, which is A Christmas Story by Gene Shepard. So
Gene
it's going to be
yeah.
classic.
And is that a musical version, or is that a straight?
No, this
play?
is the straight version of
yeah.
it. So.
And then you've done that before, very successfully.
Yes.
It's always
past. I think it's like
everybody in Northwest Indiana loves that.
Yeah.
Well, good. Well, good luck with Spamalot and Christmas Story, and thanks for being here.
Looking forward. Thank you for having me.
And thank you for watching. We'll be back again next week with another edition of Eye on the Arts. Eye on the Arts is made possible in part by South Shore Arts, the Indiana Arts Commission, and the National Endowment for the Arts, a federal agency.